The entire map of global trade is being redrawn right now. And what's wild is that the epicenter of this massive shift isn't some megacity, but a single border town in Texas. We are talking about Laredo, a city that has almost overnight become the most important economic gateway in the entire United States. So today, we're going to break down exactly how that happened, what it actually feels like on the ground, and why this incredible boom might just be at risk.
All right, so here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll get into the big picture, why Mexico is suddenly America's top trading partner. Then we'll go inside the absolute gold rush happening in Laredo's industrial real estate market. From there, we'll explore what this all means for the people who actually live there, look at a new threat that could put it all in jeopardy, and wrap up by asking what's next for this boomtown at a crossroads.
So let's jump right into Section 1, America's new top trader. For decades, we thought of global trade as these huge ships crossing vast oceans. But right now, we're in the middle of this fundamental change. It's a story about supply chains getting a whole lot shorter and a whole lot closer to home. And it really all comes down to this one simple question. For as long as most of us can remember, Made in China was just the default setting for, well, for everything. So what happened? What changed? The answer is a single word that is completely reshaping entire economies. And that word is nearshoring. It might sound like a bit of a business buzzword, but all it really means is bringing production closer to home. Driven by things like rising tariffs on Chinese goods and all that supply chain chaos we saw during the pandemic, American companies started shifting production out of Asia and right into Mexico. It's just closer, it's more predictable, and it has created an absolute economic tidal wave. Now, what's really incredible when you look at this timeline is just how fast this all happened. For years and years, China was the undisputed champ. But then, in 2020, you get the new USMCA trade deal. That's the one that updated NAFTA. And it kind of laid the groundwork. And then, boom, by early 2023, the flip was complete. Mexico officially became America's #1 source for pretty much everything we import. And that tidal wave of goods has to cross into the U.S. somewhere, right? Well, in 2023 alone, Laredo handled $320 billion worth of trade. I mean, let that number sink in. That's more than any other airport, seaport, or border crossing in the entire country. Laredo is, quite literally, the new front door for American commerce. And this right here, this is the physical heart of that whole connection, the World Trade Bridge in Laredo. Just try to picture this. Over 4 million commercial trucks cross this one bridge every single year, carrying everything you can imagine, from car parts to avocados to electronics. This thing isn't just a bridge, it is a vital artery pumping lifeblood between two massive national economies. Which brings us right to Section 2, inside the Laredo boom. Because all that trade, all those trucks, they need somewhere to go. We're talking warehouses, distribution centers, logistics hubs, and that need has created an industrial real estate gold rush unlike anything the city has ever seen. To really get a handle on it, let's just zoom in on one single property, 828 Hallmark Drive. This warehouse sitting in the Milo Industrial Park is the perfect example of what's happening citywide. It's not just some building, it's a crucial link in this brand new North American supply chain. Just look at the specs here. We're talking almost 24,000 square feet, 6 dock doors to get trucks in and out fast, and a huge concrete yard with room for 30 trailers. This is exactly the kind of setup that logistics companies are scrambling to find to manage that flood of goods coming across the border. And it's not just this one building, not by a long shot. All across Laredo, there's a record 6.9 million square feet of industrial space being built right now. What was just empty land a few years ago is rapidly turning into these massive hubs of economic activity. The demand is just completely off the charts. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Listen to this local real estate broker, Enrique Volchmer, who calls himself the happiest guy in town. He says, quote, "We've hit a vacancy rate of less than 1%. It's crazy." When vacancy drops below 1%, that means if a space opens up, it's basically leased before the sign even goes in the ground. It's a landlord's absolute dream and a sign of a market that is white hot. So that begs the question, which brings us to Section 3, living in a boomtown. A crazy industrial market is awesome for business, but what does it actually feel like for the nearly 270,000 people who call Laredo home? Well, here's where the story gets really surprising. You'd expect a boom like this to send housing prices absolutely into the stratosphere. But look at these projections for late 2025. Laredo is still remarkably affordable. The median home price is forecast to be around $250,000. I mean, that's a huge difference from the national median of over 400 grand. So why isn't the boom hitting the housing market in the same way? And this slide really gets to the heart of it. It's truly a tale of two markets. On one side, you have the industrial sector, which is just on fire. But on the other, the residential market is much more balanced. Housing inventory is actually up over 30%, which gives buyers more options and helps keep prices from exploding. So far, the boom hasn't created a housing crisis. At least, not yet. And it is the exact same story with rentals. Look at this. The average rent in Laredo is under $1,000 a month. Compare that to other big Texas cities like Houston and Dallas, or the national average, and you really see just how affordable Laredo has remained. It seems, for now, the city is getting the benefits of the economic expansion without all the painful cost of living hikes you see in other boomtowns. But just as Laredo is hitting its stride, the story takes a sharp turn. Welcome to Section 4, a border boom at risk. Because all of this incredible momentum, this growth, this real good thing, as one economist put it, is now staring down a very powerful headwind. And that headwind? It all comes down to a single word that could change absolutely everything: tariffs. A potential shift in U.S. trade policy is now threatening the very foundation of Laredo's success. Now, these aren't just small adjustments we're talking about. These are significant proposed tariffs, potentially 25% on steel and aluminum, maybe a 10% baseline on most nations. Now, these policies are often aimed at protecting American industries, but the practical effect is that they make cross-border trade more expensive and way more unpredictable. That creates a huge cloud of uncertainty for the very businesses that are fueling Laredo's boom. And the stakes are just captured perfectly by UTEP professor Tom Fullerton. He puts it very bluntly: we're at risk of damaging a real good thing. And it's already having an effect. Developers are saying that tenants are hitting pause on signing new leases, and foreign investment is starting to slow down as everyone just kind of holds their breath to see what happens next. Which brings us to our final section. Section 5, Laredo at a crossroads. The city is caught between two powerful opposing forces. The big question is, which one is going to win out? This table just lays out that central tension perfectly. On one side, you have Laredo's incredible, undeniable strengths: its status as the #1 port, its perfect geographic location, the unstoppable momentum of nearshoring, and these deep, deep economic roots with Mexico. But on the other side, you've got some serious challenges: these new tariff policies, cautious investors, hesitant tenants, and just this general cloud of political uncertainty. And in the end, it all comes down to this one final question: what's going to define the next chapter for this American boomtown? Will the powerful fundamental forces of geography and economics keep pushing Laredo forward, or will the shifting winds of policy and politics be enough to bring this incredible border boom to a screeching halt? The answer is going to shape the future of trade for the whole country.